back to another video. I know it's been a while since we've done one of these, but I've got a doozy for you today. Now, for the most part this season, Season 18, I have been using my Hunter because it's really good to be back on Arc Hunter, like I said at the very beginning of this season. But I have been playing a lot of Arc Titan as well, and I think I have perfected the Arc Titan build. Now, with that being said, there are a couple things in here I think that you can kind of move around, but we will go through those as we get to them. But most importantly, there isn't one of the fancy seasonal artifact mods in this build. The only ones that you're going to see are the champion mods and the resistance mods, which happen every single season. So with that being said, let's get into it. So just like with my warlock build that you guys enjoyed so much, by the way, you can watch that here, back last season, I wanted to put something together that is both fun to play and incredibly viable in in-game content. And I'm going to show you how that is here in just a minute. So getting into the build itself. So the super you're going to want to run is Thundercrash. It is by far the best choice when it comes to PvE content. It comes back on its own almost a minute faster than Fist of Havoc, and that burst damage is really what you're after with the rest of this stuff that we're talking about. Now, when it comes to abilities, the fact that Thrusters is here is perfect. I love it. Can't wait till we get an exotic that maybe lets you use this ability in the air. Maybe an exotic chest piece. Now, I prefer to use Thruster for a couple reasons. It does add a mobility factor to the Arc Titan that it doesn't really have and hasn't had before, especially since you are running such low mobility anyway. If you prefer to run Rally or Towering, you certainly can. But the faster you get this class ability back, the better, and the better synergy with the rest of this thing. But ultimately, use what you want to there. It's completely up to you. Use whatever jump fits your fancy. The Titan jump sucks anyway, so use whatever you want. I have swapped over from Thunderclap to Shoulder Charge, the Seismic Strike, for a couple reasons. One, again, it does add a mobility thing that I really enjoy out of the Arc subclass, but I use Shoulder Charge on my classes anyway. Just, I like getting around quickly. And while Thunderclap does a ton of damage, and it really, really does, you do in in-game content find yourself either sitting around a corner hoping that an enemy comes around, or really out in the open when you don't want to be in things like GMs and Master Nightfalls. I've swapped to Seismic Strike. It is the same as far as cooldown time. It adds that mobility, and when you use your Shoulder Charge, it does blind enemies in the area around you, which does come in handy in situational stuff. Now, I know you've seen this part in builds before, and this whole build is really about this next bit. These storm grenades are freaking nuts. They are so strong. They come back so fast on their own. A minute 45 for this thing is awesome. But with the rest of the stuff, you're never without them. You're never without the storm grenade when you need them. It's so fun. It's wild. Anyway, use the storm grenade, because on top of the storm grenade, we're also going to be running the Aspect Touch of Thunder. So the storm grenade with Touch of Thunder, after it detonates, it creates a roaming thundercloud that tracks nearby targets and fires bolts of lightning at foes beneath it. This thing is insane in PvP, of course, but in crowd control and even boss damage in PvE, this thing is absolutely nutty. And it gives you 2 fragment slots. And for the other aspect, we are going to be running Knockout. Critically wounding a target or breaking their shield infuses melee attacks with arc energy and increases your melee range and damage for a short time, which is great. But the big deal really is right underneath it. Defeating targets with melee attacks starts health regen and makes you amplified. I think it's so funny. A lot of people really miss that bottom bit, but to me, that bottom section means so much more than the top one. All right, on to fragments. I know you've been cheating and looking ahead. Spark of Resistance. While you're surrounded by combatants, you are more resistant to incoming damage, and it does give you a +10 to strength. Like they said, going into the Arc season, Arc is all about really being in it. Even in in-game content with the rest of this stuff, all of the resistance things that we've got going, you really do want to be in the midst of everything that's going on combat-wise, and the Spark of Resistance is a must-have for just about every build. The Spark of Shock is next. So not only do we constantly have these grenades, and I will show you how in just a second, not only do they roam and track targets, it also jolts targets. And so after they are jolted, as they take additional damage, that lightning also jolts to other targets around them. The crowd control thing is nuts. It's absolutely insane, which is why it does give you a -10 to discipline. After that, we have Spark of Recharge. So if we do get critically wounded, all of our stuff does recharge faster. And finally, Spark of Magnitude. This is a must-have because your lingering arc grenades have an extended duration on top of all of the other stuff. So that's the subclass, so let's get into everything else. All right, right out of the gate, let's talk weapons, okay? So all I have here are 2 of the seasonal champion mods. You can really mix and match these however you want. I have a bow and a, frankly, terrible scout rifle. I hate this corrector, but it is the only scout rifle I have in this slot that has Demolitionist. And it is solar, which helps with solar shields. And I have a Whispering Slab that has Archer's Tempo and also has Demolitionist on it. Demo really kind of takes this thing over the top. Use whatever weapon you want in those slots, but I'm telling you, if you have one with Demolitionist on it, I have found it makes a world of difference because every single kill giving you grenade energy on top of this other stuff. And I am also really digging Thunderlord as my heavy. Really doesn't matter what you use. Something like a Chain of Command that has Demo, Adrenaline Junkie, really whatever weapons you want to use that kind of fit your play style. But I'm telling you, having a Demolitionist weapon of some kind in your arsenal for this build makes a world of difference. So before we get into each individual armor piece and what mods I've got on, let's talk about stat distribution just a little bit. So I do not have a very good chest piece here. As you can see, Heart of Inmost Light is the chest piece that we're using. I don't have a good stat distribution on one. So the goal here, though, is max your resilience. Do that first, no matter what. For 2 reasons. On Titan, number 1, you get your class ability back faster the higher your resilience is. So you're obviously going to want that because of the stuff that we're going to talk about in a minute. But 2, an automatic 40% reduction in damage. When you're talking in-game content, that is life and death. I mean, that is 1 hit to 3 or 4, depending on what's hitting you. 40% damage reduction is nuts. I still can't believe it hasn't been nerfed. It will be in the future, I am sure. You want to max out your resilience first. After that, if you haven't gathered, this is a storm grenade build. Let's max out your discipline as high as you can get without really giving up too much recovery. So for me, I have 102 resilience, which is level 10. I have a level 6, almost level 7 recovery, and a level 7 discipline. Those are the 3 things that I'm really worried about. The rest of the stuff, nah. Eventually, I'll get a better Heart of Inmost Light, and I'll be able to double 100 in resilience and discipline. That would be my goal. All right, now into the juicy stuff. As you have already seen, I am sure, much like many other builds, Heart of Inmost Light is the crux exotic for this entire setup. I do not have a good one, but I do have this one, and you're gonna wanna use it, I promise you. It may be the single best exotic in the game right now, especially after what they did to Loreley, but I am loving this. I know so many of you are already using it, but with all of this other stuff, Heart just makes so much sense. But as always, let's start with the helmet. So on your head, I have a solar helm. A lot of these pieces are solar, and you are going to want Well of Ordnance and 2 Ashes to Assets. On top of the work of Heart of Inmost Light, Ashes to Assets gains super energy on grenade kills, which you're doing pretty much 24/7. They do stack, and so I do recommend you do that. If you absolutely have to have something like an ammo finder for your heavy, then feel free, swap one out. You won't feel it that much. I have not found myself in need of too much heavy ammo because frankly, I'm spamming grenades so much, it almost doesn't matter. And they do so much damage because they hang around for so long. I have not once been in real need for heavy ammo. In Well of Ordnance, anytime you pick up a solar elemental well, you do gain additional grenade energy, and they do stack, so keep that in mind. On down to your arms. I do have void arms, and it is for a specific reason. So I'll go ahead and slot 2 different champion mods here. I like to have both of them. You can really do whatever you want here, really whatever you need in the end game content. If you want to put the shotgun on, you can do that. If you want to put whatever season we're on, whatever those mods are for your arms that need to go there, feel free. If I wasn't using one of those, then I would definitely put on a bolstering detonation because it grants class ability energy when you cause damage with a grenade. So that's really up to you. And Well of Tenacity. I told you with the arc stuff, you're really in the grind of it. And in true in-game content like GMs, Master Nightfalls, Master Raids, whatever, resistance is a very, very important point. What Well of Tenacity does, anytime you pick up a void elemental well, it reduces the damage you take from combatants for a short period. Gives you resistance. And believe me, you're gonna want all of that you can get. Now for the big piece, the Heart of Inmost Light. I do have mine set to void because the seasonal options for resistance this go around are arc and solar, which means if I want to run a void resistance, which I do, then I have to have it on void. But that does allow me to use Reaping Wellmaker, so after activating my class ability for, in my case, it's my thruster, your next weapon final blow on a combatant spawns a void elemental well, which feeds into Well of Tenacity. Honestly, these two synergize really well. It works together with everything else that's what's going on. I'm using my thrusters to get around, use them all the time, and so I'm constantly making void wells. Gives me more resistance. I'm really rarely without it. All right, down to the legs. Not a ton going on here. I do have a machine gun scav. If it wasn't 1 energy and that's what I was using, then I would actually just double up on innervations, because anything that I can throw on to reduce my grenade cooldown, that's what I'm after. So reduces your grenade cooldown every time you pick up an orb of power. Now, while I am not creating a ton of orbs, my teammates might be. It's always nice to have. It's just a little extra something. If you don't want to run that, it will not break this thing, I promise. Say you would rather run a machine gun holster or whatever other seasonal mods are on your legs this season, that is fine. But if you don't, double up on the innervations. It can't hurt. But this one right here, this piece right here, it's so good. Explosive Wellmaker. Rapidly defeating combatants with explosive damage spawns a solar elemental well. The wildest thing is that storm grenades count as explosive damage, and so your storm grenades are constantly spawning solar wells if you have this on. Now, with Explosive Wellmaker on, you're constantly spawning solar wells, which feed into your Well of Ordnance. And the last solar elemental well on this build, Well of Life. Now, you can and have full authority if you want to trade Well of Life out for another Well of Ordnance, but when you're in end game content, when you're in GMs and masters and all of that other stuff, regeneration is a nice thing to be able to crutch in the midst of it. Remember, this build's got you in the middle of combat, so being able to kill something with your storm grenade, pick up that solar elemental well, get grenade energy, and start your regeneration is massive. I highly recommend a Well of Life. And on top of that, double stack bomber mods, because oh my god, it's awesome. I'm thrusting around all over the place. Wait. I'm using my class ability all the time, and double stacking bombers makes it, I mean, you'll see in a sec. You can use lightning strikes twice here. I played around with both, but I'm telling you, especially if you're going to be using a solar class item anyway, double stacking bombers for 4 energy is really the smarter way to go than spending 7 on lightning strikes twice, because it's also an increased regen rate instead of immediate reducing cooldown, which is, in my opinion, much preferred. And again, for 4 energy instead of 7. Now, if lightning strikes twice costs maybe 5, I could see the benefit. It takes 1 less slot, all that stuff. But unless lightning strikes twice comes back in a future thing or whatever, double bombers is the better way to go anyway. Doing this is also better than using something like thunderous retort, because frankly, the amount that you're getting your super back, how fast it is, the bonus damage while amplified, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. You're going to want to use bombers instead of anything else that you've got here, I promise. Now, before we get into the gameplay, the sponsor of today's video is me. Surprising, I know. If you're watching this video within the first 2 weeks of it coming out, that means there is a link at the top of this description where you can grab our first ever limited edition merch. Now, this is something I've been working on for quite some time. I did partner with Agent Inc. They're a fantastic company. They reached out to me not too terribly long ago and asked if I would be interested in partnering up with them to release some merch. Now, I did want to do things a little bit differently. I know a lot of folks have pretty much an all-the-time store, really basic stuff that, you know, you can get at any time, and I do respect that. I decided that I wanted to do something really special and unique for you guys, because this is never going to be offered again. So we have 3 limited run pieces. We have this sweatshirt, which is an embroidered sweatshirt. It is a crew neck. It's super soft. It wears really well. This thing has already been washed like 3 or 4 different times. It's true to size. This is an extra large. It did not shrink in the washer. So rest easy, order the size you normally would. We also have this exact same thing, a black sweatshirt and a black hoodie. Both of these have become daily wears for me because they are super comfy. I'm really, really happy with how they turned out. The embroidery is super nice. It's all done in-house, and I'm so excited to share that with you. But my favorite piece of the 3 that we are offering this 2 weeks is the embroidered dad hat. It is only available in white. It has an embroidered TH3 logo on the front, but the nice touch that I really love, and we're going to be doing a lot more with in the future, is the full TH3 Spencer V logo on the side. Guys, I've told you this before, I have a massive head and it fits mine. It's adjustable on the back. It's super comfy. It's a great golf hat. Really recommend it above all. Go to the link down in the description below and grab yourself a piece or 2 or the whole line. This is only going to be offered one time ever. This exact stuff will never be offered again. And so if you want on the ground floor of the TH3 merch collection, highly recommend you go grab a piece. It is super comfortable, super nice, great looking, really clean and simple, and incredibly affordable. If you guys grab something, let me know down in the comments below. But now, back to the video. So something different I'm gonna start doing, and I apologize for not doing it before, I am going to start doing these things in end game level content. So we're loading into Grasp of Avarice at the 1600 master level. Just for reference, I am only 1591, just kind of how my stuff is lined out here. But let's show you exactly what this build is all about. So remember, it's all about getting your grenade back as fast as possible. So I throw my storm grenade, it starts doing its thing. I use my thrusters, and I already have about 25% of my grenade back, and I'm already at half. And you can see when I use my thrusters, it also activates my Heart of Inmost Light. I kill something, I thruster, I have this again. So I've collected up some thrall here. Like I said, use that to get around. So watch these storm grenades go off. There's a solar well. I'll pick that up, use my thrusters, get 25% of my stuff back, shoulder charge, activates my Heart of Inmost Light, and now I'm back to my my storm grenade again. I use my thruster to just keep running around, get away, I'm amped. Oh, I missed my shoulder charge, yoink. My storm grenade is back again. I use my thrusters, and I'm constantly healing because of my solar wells. That wizard's given me some problems, but really nothing I can't handle. As the solar well drops, I pick it up, and now I'm healing again. This thing is absolutely incredible. Thruster, get my grenade energy back, jump up, shoulder charge, run. Thruster again. This build is awesome. This is all 1600 content, guys. Like I told you, use my thruster, my energy regens. I pick up that solar well, and I'm back again. Got my super. Can take care of one. Use my grenade for another. Thruster again. And I'm just running around in a constant loop. As I shoulder charge, you can see that it blinds all those guys. I thruster out, and I have my grenade again. And the loop continues. If I wanted to use my weapons, I certainly can. You can see that as I get a kill, I get a massive bump to my grenade energy thanks to Demolitionist. Get my resistance there because of my Void Well. And I have all of my abilities again. You never... Now that was, of course, because of my Burdens of Riches, but you just never run out. You never run out of energy. It's awesome. Guys, I highly recommend you use it. The dim link will be down below. If you have any questions or have a way that you think I can improve this thing, let me know. I'll be glad to listen to them, as I always do. This is so fun. Grab that, come on in. Yoink. Everything. Oh, it's perfect. It's perfect. This build is so much fun to use, guys. If you have any questions, like I said, let me know. Be more than happy to answer them for you. Without further ado, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!